Welcome to Fireside Football with Drew James and Kendall Caps. Football's so sexy and smooth, even your grandmama wants to watch.
Welcome to Fireside Football. I'm Kendall Caps.
And I'm Andrew Williamson.
Well, Andrew, here we are. It's the 2010 NFL season approaching. Saints coming off a big Super Bowl victory last year.
I remember very well. My Colts pick didn't work out so well.
No, it didn't. New Orleans, you can't beat destiny like we talked about.
Well, enough about last year. Let's forget about that. I know I have. Let's move to this year, 2011. Where are you looking? What are your teams? Who do you like?
In the AFC East, I think you have a lot of depth there. Miami, their running game, if they have a healthy running game between Ronnie Brown and Ricky Williams, you know what they can do. Chad Henne, quietly the second half of last season, he threw the ball down the field well. They bring in Brandon Marshall. I mean, he's got to be loving that. You figure they're going to do well. New England's always going to be there. The Jets that defense is going to carry them to at least 9-10 wins. Anyone could win the division, but who do you like there?
I'm taking Miami as a sleeper pick. I like Miami. I'm always pro Miami. They've got the running game. They added Brandon Marshall. They added Carlos Dansby. Mike Smith is a defensive coordinator. All good things. And I think the Jets, everyone loves them. They went 9-7 last year. I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, and don't forget, they backed into the playoffs last year. They had two teams lie down for them, the Colts and the Bengals, 2 weeks in a row, just so they could make it. So
and then they had the Bengals and the Chargers lie down for them in the
playoffs. Yeah, so that certainly helped their cause.
New England's defense, I'm still shaky on, but I'm going to take the
It
Dolphins.
is, but that corner McCourty that they got in the draft looks really good preseason. He's supposed to be a lockdown type corner. The linebackers, they have some age, but they have some younger guys. Gerard Mayo from Tennessee a couple years ago, he came on in the second half of last year. I think he'll do well in that offense. If Welker is healthy, which I think he will be, I think they'll win 11 games this year, and they'll win the AFC East, with Miami getting wild card out of that spot.
Now, how about that? In the AFC North, a lot of people are taking Baltimore. It's the hot pick right now. The Steelers kind of under the radar with Roethlisberger suspended for some accusations, I guess we'll say.
Yeah, we could say that much. I think you have to like Baltimore a lot. They always ran the ball well. You know their defense is there every single year. They went out and got a couple of receivers. They just signed Hoosh the other day. They brought in Anquan Bolden. And Joe Flacco, he's looked like a guy who is progressing each year. 2 years in, he stepped back a little bit, but he's shown all the tools. And I really like that team to win that division and possibly go deep into the playoffs.
I think the Steelers are going to pull it out. I think Dennis Dixon will take them to a 2-2 record, maybe 1-3 at worst. But their schedule actually gets a lot easier towards the end of the year. And I think last year they had the classic Super Bowl hangover. They do that a lot. They come back the second year, be strong again. And I think that Ravens defense is aging.
It certainly is aging, but every year they continue to produce, which is it's amazing what they've done. Pittsburgh, it's a bold pick, and it's certainly possible. They tend to have, like you said, those hangovers. But Big Ben being out 4 weeks and Dennis Dixon, and they have 3 losable games during there. If they start 1-3, put themselves in the hole, they're going to have a hard time digging themselves out. Down in the South, Indy wins it every year. I mean, why pick against them at this point, right?
I'm gonna take Indy here. I'm gonna go out on a limb. And I think Peyton Manning wins this division with probably 12 wins at least.
Yes. What is it? 6, 7 straight years they've had 12 or more victories. Indianapolis is the model of consistency. I think if you look them up in the dictionary, it says Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah.
But my sleeper team, Houston, it's hard to really call them a sleeper. People have picked them for a few years now to do better. They finally had an 8-8 season last year. First time they won 8 games in a year. Their offense should be, no doubt, one of the best in the league once again. I definitely think they might steal the last wild card spot.
I like Houston. I'm going to put them right back there at 8-8, 9-7. Last team out in the AFC again. I know Houston fans probably won't like to hear that, but until they prove it to me, I don't see them beating the Colts in the first week. I don't see them beating the Colts the second time they play, coming off a bye in Indianapolis. And the Titans are a hard team too, and the AFC is a stacked conference. I like Houston. I wish I liked them more.
Well, what's amazing about the AFC being a stacked conference, it's stacked within 3 divisions, because as we move to the AFC West, there's no one out west. San Diego's the best team, and they'll win the division, but more by default than anything else.
Not a Raiders fan then.
No, well, can you blame me? Sorry, Raiders fans, but yeah, the West, every year, Kansas City, they might do a little bit better. I wouldn't be surprised if they win 5, 6 games. Denver's in the same region, maybe a couple more. Oakland 5 or 6 again. San Diego wins 9 or 10 games, but without Vincent Jackson, and they have some other holes to fill that they have not filled in the offseason, it's really tough to like San Diego going deep this year.
Now, at the same time, though, I like Malcolm Floyd, Vincent Jackson Jr. He looked a lot like Vincent Jackson when he was playing alongside him, and now he'll be their #1 deep threat. Maybe that's the reason the Chargers aren't so interested in bringing him back.
Yeah, it's possible, yes.
Or maybe it's the 3-game suspension he's starting off this season with.
Yeah.
But, I can't pick against the Chargers in the West.
Yeah, there's no one else there.
I like the Raiders, though. I'm going to take the Raiders at 8 wins. And depending on how the Chargers do, that may be enough.
Yeah,
you never know.
It could be, yeah. So you got the Raiders on the uptick. Well, over in the NFC, we'll start back in the East. Who do you like coming out of there? There's definitely some depth in that division as well.
In the NFC East, I like the Eagles. I think the Eagles are a prominent up-and-comer, and I like Kevin Kolb and what he's doing with the offense. We'll see. We'll give him a chance. The Redskins look improved with McNabb. I'm going to take the Giants, though.
Really?
I think the Giants' defense is healthy.
Wow.
Their secondary is back. You've got Antoine Roll back and healthy. Their defense looks a lot healthier. Their offensive line's a little stronger than it was last year. And let's not forget, last year when they were healthy, they started off 5-0.
They did.
Hit a rash of injuries and really finished the season badly. But I think the Giants are going to recover, and the other NFC teams I think are still average, either going up or going down.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, I
definitely
think
I think the NFC is a little bit more difficult to figure out. There are a lot of middle-of-the-road teams in the NFC. In that division particularly, Washington, like you said, they shall be a little bit better. They'll win 6-7 games this year, I think. But I do like Dallas. The overall talent that they have there, I think, is just too superior to other teams in that division at this point. And I think they'll find a way to win 11, maybe 12 games, win the division. Philadelphia, though, they're a team that could make noise come playoff time. Kevin Kolb showed he had a lot of promise a couple years ago. He knows how to throw the ball downfield accurately. Deshaun Jackson, Jeremy Maclin, Jason Avant are quick receivers who can get by DBs if they get single coverage. I do like Philly to possibly nab the last wild card spot. But the Giants, it's tough. It's a tough sell. It's a tough sell. But hey, you never know in the NFL, right?
Very true. Very true. And how about the NFC North? Speaking of you never know, you've got Brett Favre, the Vikings, 14-2 last year, almost won the NFC. But then there's Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre's understudy with maybe the most high-powered offense in the NFL.
If you look, Green Bay look like geniuses at this point because they finally cut ties. They said, we're enough of this Brett Favre. We need to have a guy in training camp to be able to work with everyone, to be a leader. And Aaron Rodgers, a couple years later, is now top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL, arguably. Yeah. He's at least top 4, top 5 at worst. And
cut the diva and bring in a star who's just
who's now, 26, 27 years old or something like that. He has a bright future ahead of him. I've really liked Green Bay this year. Everyone does. They're loaded on offense. Their defense was ranked #1 in the NFC last year, and they're going to bring it. They have almost everyone back. There's no reason why not to like Green Bay.
I'm with you. I'm going to take Green Bay. I like Minnesota as the last wild card spot.
I agree. I think they have a step back. Without Sidney Rice for 8 weeks, it's going to be difficult.
And I think Rodgers can throw for 5,000 yards this year.
He might. With the weapons that he has, Jermichael Finley, the new stud tight end who he's going to get the ball to in the red zone quite often, they're going to be really tough to stop.
Now, how about the NFC South? You've got the Saints, Super Bowl champs, been partying hard for 3 straight months, ready to go, repeat.
Believe it or not, I think they might have a headache early on. They might suffer somewhat of a hangover from winning the Super Bowl early in the season. But again, like Green Bay, they have so many weapons. It's going to be difficult for teams to beat them just because they're going to score so often. And I do like them to win this division, but Atlanta is going to give them a run for their money. Matt Ryan, as a rookie, had a great rookie season. He suffered the sophomore slump that guys tend, like Joe Flacco, who I alluded to, have in their second year. I think he's going to step it up, have a great third year. Michael Jenkins is going to have a decent recovering year. Roddy White is a stud. I definitely like Atlanta to take possibly the last wildcard spot away from Philadelphia. That's the battle. Who will get in?
See, I'm going to go you one better, and I'm going to pick Atlanta to win the NFC South.
Wow, so you like that much?
Take the division. I'm going to put the Saints in a wild card spot. Now, I think the Saints may have luck in the playoffs, but I just think Atlanta's schedule with the defense they have kind of remade over the offseason They've got a lot of their injured players back.
Yes,
Their
they do.
offensive line looks a little better, and their schedule's so much easier this year.
This year.
I think Atlanta could put up 11, 12 wins
They very well might. They're a
and
strong
take this
team.
division.
Yeah. And out west, once again, I mean, I guess we can talk about out west, but there's not a whole lot out there really.
I'm going to disagree. I'm going to take my sleeper pick is going to be the San Francisco 49ers, who I think could go as far as the conference title game. I think they have the best defense in the league. They've got Patrick Willis, the reincarnation of Mike Singletary, and I think the 49ers pull this division off and maybe win a playoff.
I'd like them to also win this division. But again, in part because of default, I don't think Seattle's going to do very much. Obviously, St. Louis isn't going to do very much. In Arizona, even though they got rid of Leinart, which was a great idea for them at that point because he can't get the ball downfield. Derek Anderson, he's proven he can throw the ball to guys, but it's not going to be enough. I do like San Fran to win that division mainly because of that defense, but I don't see them doing anything in the playoffs.
Well,
But
now,
now,
real quick, before we have to go, who's your Super Bowl picks? And you've given us your division winners. Where's your Super Bowl lie?
you know, it might sound too ordinary, but I actually like a rematch. We haven't seen one in quite some time since Buffalo and Dallas, but I think we're going to get it again this year. I just don't see any two teams beating those teams in the
You're going
playoffs.
to take Indy, New Orleans?
I am taking Indy, New Orleans.
Who wins?
Indianapolis.
Wow. I'm also going to go with the Colts, but I'm going to go Colts over the Packers.
Oh, you got the Packers
We
getting it.
I guess we sound like some front runners, Colts fans, but
Yeah, but it
bet
tends
against
to prove
Peyton
that's the way
Manning
it
at
is.
your own risk.
Well, for Andrew Williamson, I am Kendall Capps. This is Fireside Football. Look to see you again.